Hi, let's discuss about consignment procurement type and how it differs from standard procurement type. We also discuss in system how these two types are designed and configured. Lastly, we also see practicals to understand better in the system. Okay, now let's try to understand if we take real world scenarios. Let's take one big branded gold retail store. When you walk into these retail stores, you will see so many gold products, right? Most of the time all those products may not to be owned by the those retail stores. Sometimes many vendors keeps their products in these retail stores so that they can sell their products easily. So when they keep their products in these retail stores, not always these retail stores buy them. Instead they allow them those vendors to keep their stocks in these retail stores, and these stores will make the payment to the vendor only when those products are sold. This way, the retail store keeps some commission and the remaining amount will give it to the vendor. So this whole process is called consignment procurement type. Okay, here vendor is not procuring, but he is liable and keeping the vendor stock in his place. But the stock ownership is still lies with the vendor, and the vendor only gets the payment once the item is sold. Clear, right? So this is called consignment procurement type. And we see these scenarios not only in gold retail stores, in shopping malls, in many of the products. Okay, and we also see in pharmacy. In sometimes we see vending machines also, one of the examples of consignment stock. Technically speaking, consignment is a special procurement process where the supplier keeps the material at the buyer's premises, but ownership remains with the supplier until the material is consumed. Payment is made only for the quantity actually used. Okay, this is all about consignment procurement concept. Now let's understand how it is differ from standard procurement type. In standard procurement type, you create a purchase order and you take the goods into your stock so that it will become your own stock, and you make the payment after invoice verification, right? So these are the steps involved in standard procurement type. When it comes to consignment procurement type, here also you need to create a purchase order, and here also you need to take the goods into your place, but will not be your stock. It will be a consignment stock, but you are liable for the stock. And when the stocks are inside, you start using it, consuming it. Accordingly, you have to settle the vendor with payments. So the main difference here is, here you have to make the payment once you receive the goods because they will become your own goods. Here you don't have to make the payment until they consumed. Okay, so this is what the it differs in process wise. Now let's understand in SAP configuration. So you create a purchase order with ME21N transaction code, right? And here you really don't bother about what could be the item category. Whenever you're creating a standard purchase order, you never thought about what could be the item category, right? And that actually makes that purchase order is a standard purchase order. But when it comes to consignment purchase order, and you use the same transaction code, same page, but here the difference is item category is going to be K. So here there is no item category. Here there is item category in the purchase order, same purchase order page, but the moment system triggers this K, it starts thinks that it is a consignment purchase order, not a standard purchase order. So this is the difference at PO level. When it comes to goods received, here you take the stocks into your stock with the movement type 101 while using the MyGo transaction code. Here also you have to use the MyGo transaction code, but here movement type is going to be 101K. So if this K is missing, again, it looks like standard goods receipt only. But since the movement type is K, system allow goods to take into your place, but they are not going to be your own stock. It is going to be consignment stock, and ownership is still with supplier, but you are liable, right? And you have received consignment stock, and you started consuming the consignment stock. When you started consuming the stock, then only you have to settle the vendor on usage basis. Okay, here you just have to verify the invoice, that how many products, how many quantities you ordered against PO, how many received in GR, so against that invoice, and you make the payment. Here it we can't use this Miro. Instead we use MRKO. So this is the difference in SAP system. Now if your client is asking you to configure consignment procurement type, means customer and vendor, they might have already discussed extensively to implement, to understand, and get into so many rules, terms and conditions, then only both the parties agrees with this project or procurement type. So then only this customization can be done in the system. What I wanted you to understand is there is so much of behind customer and vendor agrees on so many terms, like who will bear the storage cost, and who will bear the risk of damaged or handling damages, like that, so many terms and conditions, and finally they agree on this process. That's where your client comes and asks you to implement this procurement type. To understand further this consignment procurement type, one more step is mandatory, that is consignment info record, which is mandatory in consignment procurement type. Just keep this in mind. We will discuss in the next slide in detail. Now let's understand consignment process steps. It starts with creating consignment info record, and this step links that particular material and with that vendor for consignment stock. Okay, this mainly stores price and tax information, which we use it during goods receipt, transfer postings, and settlements. Once your info record is ready, you can create consignment purchase order. When you create a consignment purchase order, you keep the item category as K. The moment system understands that it is item category K, it thinks that it is a consignment purchase order, and there will be no prices in the order. Why? That is one of the difference between standard purchase order to consignment purchase order. In standard purchase order, you don't keep this item category K, and you will see the price details, because these price details are coming from pricing procedure. But when it comes to consignment purchase order, you will not see any price details, but the price details will come during goods receipt, transfer posting, and settlements from info record. Okay, keep this in mind. After that, you will receive goods through MyGo, and here movement type is going to be 101K. So that system thinks that it is going to be the consignment stock, not customer stock. And when your consignment stock is ready in your warehouse, and you start consume the stock, right? Meaning you start issuing the stock. SAP understood there are three ways, depending on the material type, you can consume these stocks. We will discuss those movement types in the next slide. For now, just concentrate on the steps. First, you'll create info record, and you'll create a purchase order, goods receipt, and you'll issue the stock, and you have to settle the stock because you started consuming the stock. For this, you use MRKO, and here we should not use Miro. Okay, that is the reason. Miro is always a logistics invoice verification, but MRKO is a settlement. In these slides, we understand important movement types are involved in consignment process. So 101K we use for GR to take the stocks into consignment stock. 201K we use to issue the goods to cost center. 261K we issue the stocks to production. 411K we use to transfer the ownership from consignment stock to your own stock. And 122K is to return the consignment stock to vendor which are unused. So to register in our mind, so 101K for GR, 122K for return, and two series 201K and 261K for goods issue. So 201K goods issue to cost center. This mainly material type is like some serviceable items or some office use, some admin use, where you consume the goods. After consuming these goods with movement type 201K, there is no value after consuming generated. But 261K movement type products, and these products are mostly raw materials which you are going to use in the production. And after consuming these products, and it has a value because you're going to produce your product, and the product has a value and it is going to generate a revenue for your company. And last movement type is 411K, where you transfer your ownership to your stock. And let's understand in the system. Okay, now let's create, starting from a material which is going to be your consignment product, and a vendor who supplies this consignment stock. Once we have these both, material and the vendor, then you can start creating info record, consignment info record, right? So stick to the process steps. You create a consignment info record, and then you create a consignment purchase order, and then goods receipt, and issue the goods and settle the vendor. Okay, so now let's do the consignment info record. So to do the consignment info record, you need to have a one material and the vendor who provides that material, right? So let's create one material using MM01 and give your industry sector, select your material type, select appropriate views, select your plant and storage location. Here give some name to identify, like consignment product, and fill all the mandatory fields so that system will allow you to save. And relation class 7920, and here it is price control yes set, and I'm not maintaining the standard price for us to test. Okay, you will come to know when I'm processing the PO. Hit enter. That's okay. With price control yes, enter a standard price, but it will allow you to save. So your material is ready, 454. So make a note somewhere, and you also create the vendor who supply this consignment stock. T code is XK01. Select your company code, your purchase organization, and your account group. And here consignment vendor. Just give some name, that's okay. Okay, and fill all the country, all mandatory fields. Reconciliation account is mandatory, and cash management group is mandatory. Currency is mandatory. Save. So you have your vendor also ready. So this vendor is going to provide this 454 material as consignment stock. So now you have a material, and also you have a vendor who supplies that material, and it is going to be your consignment stock. So now create a consignment info record. The T code is ME11. /n ME11. So your vendor 209 is right, your material 454 is right. This is your purchase organization, this is your plant. So if you see here, so info record, standard info record. If I maintain with this standard info record, so the details what I'm going to maintain with this record is going to fetch in the standard purchase order. But if I maintain with this option, and the details what I'm going to maintain inside this info record is going to be my consignment info record, and it will fetch in the consignment purchase order, right? It will be used for the consignment purchase order. It will not fetch this record. If you remember, for consignment, whenever you're processing a purchase order, you use item category K, and your PO should not have price details. So that's the reason you store the price details in this info record, and these info record details will be used during goods receipt, transfer postings and settlement, not in the PO. Okay. Now, for us understanding, only maintain consignment. Okay. Maintain all the mandatory fields. So this is mandatory, and here for us understanding, I'm maintaining one unit with this vendor with this material, consignment info record, fix 250 INR per quantity. Okay. Enter the purchase group also. Enter, save. Your purchase info record successfully created. Now let's enter our second step is to create a consignment purchase order. /n ME21N. Okay, to create a purchase order. Go here, give your number, vendor number, enter all your purchase organization, purchasing group and company code, and 454 is your material, right? And let's take 25 quantities, and it's going to be, this is your plant, this is your storage location. If you see, you have a message here, net price must be greater than 0, because here net price is 0. In the conditions tab, net price came as 0. Why? But in the info record we maintained, right? But if you remember, that info record we maintained for consignment info record, right? So that's the reason it's not picking here, because I'm processing this as standard PO, because I have not picked any item category here. You see, standard is always blank. If I would have given consignment K, let's give, and hit enter, you see this conditions tab itself will disappear, and this net price becomes gray. You can't enter anything here. You understood, right? So for now everything looks fine. Save your order. Your purchase order got saved. Once your purchase saved, this purchase order that vendor is going to receive, and he also prepared the stocks and he sent it. Now let's take the stock into our stock. So how do we take? My go transaction, right? /n MI GO, enter. And here this is for goods receipt, and this is your purchase organization which I copied, enter. If you see, automatically the special stock K is appeared here. It has picked from the purchase order what we have given here. You see, the quantity 25 came. Let's go and say that 25 quantity we are going to receive, and tick here. So it will be ticked here, and where purchase order number, and he is the partner, right? So now what will happen if I save this goods receipt? Do you think accounting document will be generated? No, because I'm stock enters plant but stays in vendor ownership, so I don't have to pay, right? So let's post this document, and there is a material document created. Let's review the material document. To review the material document, go to display. This is the material document. Hit enter. Go to document info and find if there are any FI documents generated. What it says, no subsequent document found in accounting. Yes or no? So now let's see what's happening in the stock overview. Okay, to see the stock of this product, let's go to /n MMBE. So this is my product and I am removing my plants also. Execute it. You see, we have 25 quantity of under vendor consignment. They are not under company storage location. They are not under company plant. This is company code, company plant, company storage location. But stocks are available under vendor consignment of 25 quantities. Clear, right? Now let's do one movement type which says this one. Change the ownership of the consignment stock to your own stock. So let's do this transaction 411K movement type. To do that, /n MIGO again. So MIGA only we go and we are going to use 411K. And here we need to choose transfer posting. And here if you see consignment to own 411K already got selected. So now I have to tell to the system, see there is a 454 material, okay, which is there in this plant under this storage location, and I want 10 quantities, okay, I want 10 quantities from this vendor, right? This stock belongs to this vendor. Enter. And now, alright, so if I do this, system should send 10 quantities to my plant, my storage location and my plant. /o, let's see, MMBE. I'm opening in another tab. So go here. When I complete this transaction, system should give me how many quantities we are transferring? 10 quantities. In this storage location, 10 should come. Okay. Total unrestricted quantity should show 10. Let's see. Post. Enter. slog transfer. Yeah. Destination. Right. Post. You see now, document got posted. Now if you refresh, see 10 quantity has been moved from vendor consignment to my ownership. This is my plant, this is my storage location, and I consumed 10 quantities from consignment stock. That is one scenario. Now we have to use another scenario, 201K, where we are issuing the stock to cost center, okay, directly from vendor consignment. Now let's go /n MIGO and goods issue, we are issuing the stock. So this movement types, right, 201K and 261K we are seeing. So 101K at the time of GR we have done, 411K transferring the ownership we have done. Now let's try with 201K where you are issuing to cost center. Okay, now goods issue, what material? 454, enter. Quantity, how much quantity you are issuing? 5 quantities. Where you are issuing? This is my plant, this is my storage location, enter. If you see 201, right, and let's select K, so it's going to consignment stock to cost center, right? So this stock belongs to this vendor, so because we have to settle this vendor for using this 5 quantity. Account group, so pick your cost center, okay, post it, check. and post. So the material document got posted. Here again, since you, what did you do? You issued 5 quantities, right? So whenever you consumed, it should show accounting document. Enter. You will see document info, FI documents. See, there's an accounting document. It clearly says that accounting payable consignment account got credited, and AKO consumption account got debited, right? Now if we see this MMBE screen /MMBE screen, now 5 quantities should be reduced from consignment stock. See, previously you had only 15, now you got only 10. Remaining 5 quantities we already consumed, right? So now we left with another one is 261, where you have to issue the goods to production order.